Saturdays.
At ganun pag rolling, biglang nagsiseryoso. Oo nga. Ano ba?
Hanapin mo na tuloy-tuloy pala.
Okay. Okay, good luck to us. Okay, sige, let's start. So, our first question kasi is, why did you join journalism and media? And then, we'll do this, ano to, age before beauty. Oh, no.
Pearls before swine.
Sorry, I was going to look at John kasi nagpapan-left ako to John. Ano, sino muna? Chai.
Chai.
Professor Chai.
Professor Chai. No, I wasn't a comm major. I was a philosophy major, and I thought I would go to law school, but I took Philippine Constitution, the dreaded Philippine Constitution, and I hated memorization, and I said I wouldn't survive law school. So the next best thing was writing. I really wanted to write, and I graduated in 1984. This was before the EDSA revolution. And 1983, the 1980s were very turbulent, politically turbulent years. And John was, nagsama kami, nag-abot kami in college. So Ninoy Aquino died in 1983. We saw his body in a coffin.
You went to Times Street, huh?
I did. I went to Santo Domingo Church. It was a really, really long line of people waiting to see his body. And it was really a sight, ha? If there's a chance, kasi I think his body is already in Tarlac, di ba? The museum there. But back then, talagang kita mo, splattered blood on his white vest. And I think that was what moved people then. Parang sobra na to. This cannot continue. The dictatorship has to end. Martial law has to end. Although it had been lifted
In 81.
in paper, on
lifting,
paper, no? So yun, parang I really felt that I needed to document what was going on. I needed to be a journalist even if I had no formal training. So yun, and then Inquirer opened in December of 1985. I was a young reporter back then, and andun kami sa EDSA. Ano yun, EDSA was really closed. People were just walking around freely, and reporters were there. Mahirap maging reporter nun kasi you talk about objectivity and being detached. Parang hirap kasi you felt you felt na this was a great moment. This was democracy coming back, and people have to be happy and should rejoice. So damang-dama ko yon. And then Inquirer nga was open then. We thought Inquirer wouldn't last, but there were only 12 reporters who were hired, if I remember correctly. Tapos it lasted more than how many years?
Still alive.
Chito's with Inquirer also.
During that time.
Okay. John muna.
Well, two obsessions. One with writing, the other with history. But it actually took me 3 tries to get it right. I joined Philippine Star, and then I left after 4 months. And then a few years later, I joined Today newspaper, and I left after 10 months. And it was only in 1999 when I joined the Manila Times that it became. It was really my career. And the reason I think is, it's not enough for you to know how to write, to have a career in journalism. You need to know how to write on demand, under deadline pressure. I needed to learn that. No? So that's one of the things I had to bone up on. And the other one is I needed to, because of the assignments they were giving me, I needed to learn how to edit. I realized it's not making somebody else sound like me. No, it's making the other person sound as good as he can. No? So that took some time. No? So it took me 3 tries before I finally realized, okay, this is the career for me.
But you were in college, like Chai was pointing out. So you were a year behind Chai. So 80.
Yeah.
You were in college
Yeah.
nung pinatay si Ninoy.
That's
diba?
right. Yeah.
So it was
Chai-
like a parang
Yeah.
spark na rin.
Definitely. I think we were very conscious that we were living in historic times. Yes, so like Chai, I also was able to see the body in Times Street, their house, and then when it was moved to Santo Domingo, and I was there for the funeral. But
Sorry.
people are not following instructions. I was there for the funeral. I didn't last because I don't know if people will remember this, but it actually rained. It rained really hard on August 31, 1983. And I was drenched, and by the time I got to Luneta, I said, I'm going to go home because I was shivering. But it was like another 6 hours. But if you could see, that's one of the largest funerals in world history. The only bigger ones are in Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran, and then a couple of historical figures in India. But like 2-3 million people.
Wasn't Cory's funeral bigger than that?
Oh,
Or
no.
mas malaki pa yung ginawa?
Oh yeah, by far. I think I also attended Cory Aquino funeral. That was probably about like 500,000 people. But this time in 1983, it was probably 2 million people, and that was when the slogan first came out. Ninoy, hindi ka nag-iisa. And you could see that along Quezon Boulevard, and it was really something. And so we just felt like Chai, history was surging through that on that boulevard at that time, and we all thought we were living in these historic times. So,
They always say, diba, parang if you're a journalist, you take the front seat of history. Yun,
Right.
that was the exact
Right.
moment.
Front seat to history.
Yeah.
Parang,
Yeah.
And then we write the first rough draft of history.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although the
yeah.
historians will not always believe us, siguro.
That's right. That's
But
right.
yung just speaking to what you John and Chai were saying, diba? So I was in college, 84 na. So high school was when yung assassination ni Ninoy. I also went to Times Street. That's the parang ancestral home ni Aquino. So I also saw his blood-drenched body in the casket. But I didn't go na to Santo Domingo 19. But parang syempre, talagang turning point talaga. Tapos ang significant dito para sa akin yung how I got into journalism, because at that time bumalik ang ABS-CBN, di ba? Kasi na-shutdown siya noong martial law.
Right, yeah.
So na-reopen because Cory returned ABS to the Lopezes. And all the old ABS-CBN officials went back, and one of them was my uncle, si Jimmy Navarro, who's program director. And at the time, college, yung 86, 87, parang enjoy ako pag nasa labas ako, pag nasa ABS, di ba? Syempre may mga cuts, di ba? So pwede kang mag-cut 3 times. And then, of course, I'm not saying students should cut. No? I'm just saying, what I mean to say is you choose your cuts. Tama ba sinabi ko?
Tama.
Yeah, okay.
Strategic.
Strategic cutting, ganon. So, then I would spend so much time sa ABS kasi nga parang ang ganda di ba? Parang yung creativity na bottle up, biglang umusbong, parang gano'n, ano. Tapos, that's when nagkaroon ako ng idea na, baka pwede akong journalist. Kasi, then I would do stuff for the news and, at the time, public affairs department, parang gano'n. Tapos, I would, siguro fourth year, second sem, school year 87 to 88. Tapos, nag-overcut ako.
Hindi strategic yun.
Hindi na strategic yun. Nag-overcut ako. Kasi nga, I was spending so much time outside. That's why I tell the students now, okay, mag-overcut. Ganun. Tapos, I had to take an extra sem. So I had to take 4 subjects. Umabot kasi yung QPI ko, just to let the teachers know. Umabot yung QPI ko. So, I had to, but I remember, I wanted to work na. So the boss of the ABS-CBN newsroom at the time, si Angelo Castro Jr., sabi ko, Angelo, I want to work na. Then he goes, no. You go back to school and finish school and get a diploma. When you get a diploma, come back to me and I'll hire you, ganon. So he's the one who really forced me to. And tama, di ba? Alam mo naman, paano yun? Hindi ako college graduate, kakahiya, di ba? Parang ganon. So yun, pero those years out on the streets, di ba, dito sa Ateneo, dami-dami nating rally. At yan, kasama sila John, parang ganon. Tapos, the return of ABS-CBN, yung pagbabalik ng press freedom, di ba? Yung the rambunctious Philippine press, etc. Yun talaga yung Parang yun yung naging start. Yun. Pat, I'm looking at you.
In my case, I think journalism was a natural fit because I grew up reading and watching the news. So when I was, I have pictures at home. When I was 5 years old, I was reading The Inquirer. And I did not, I was very sure I did not understand the word. I just read
But you saw the name Chai.
Hindi.
Hindi.
5 years old ka pa na.
Oo.
Rosario.
And then every night, I would watch TV Patrol while having dinner. 5, 6, 7 years old. When I was a teenager, I would read the newspaper every day and I would watch the newscasts, all the newscasts. Kahit paulit-ulit lang yung balita, the 6 p.m. newscast, umaabot pa ako sa newscast mo. You had the newscast every weekend. The weekend news. It was after midnight, di
Talaga
ba?
ako ba yun?
Oo, dalawa kayo.
Grabe, talagang
I
parang
remember.
napapadiin ako dito eh.
I remember.
Yeah,
Oh.
gusto
Okay.
kong sabihin pa.
Pero kakaiba ka.
Oh. And then your columns.
And wait, and you were watching and reading because
I
you just
was really
like you were fascinated
I was
by
interested.
news. Ganun.
Tsaka, chismoso din ako eh.
Totoo yan.
Oh, yun ang
Oo.
number one. Yun ang importante sa
That's
journalist.
what I tell my students din na, alam mo, kung chismoso ka, you have it in you. It's in your blood.
Totoo
We just have to
yan.
put a bit of structure and discipline, but
But did you learn it from your parents? Or?
hindi rin eh. Kasi sa totoo lang, nung maliit ako, nakikichismis na ako doon sa matatanda. I pretend I'm not hearing them, but I'm hearing them.
Eavesdropping.
Oo, tapos magugulat sila na nagtatanong ako tungkol dun sa usapang matanda. And then I really remember one time, my lola had a comment, oh, grabe itong batang to, no? Nakikinig talaga siya. And
So at that time sinabi na baka maging reporter to, parang gano'n.
I think they also saw it in me. Oo. Pero yun, so I think it was a natural fit. I couldn't think of any other job for me. And then later on, in college, I joined the student paper. I was Ma'am Chai's student.
Ba't natatawa si Chai?
Oh, that was 21 years ago, 20 years ago.
20 years ago
Oo,
na
I
yun.
was your student in 2005.
News writing
Yes, oo.
and investigative.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
oo.
news writing which you're teaching now.
Which I am teaching now. Oo.
Full circle.
So ano yun?
Did you also take cuts? How many cuts?
Sa
How many
harapan,
cuts?
sa harapan ako nakaupo noon.
So hindi ka maka-cut.
Ay, oo.
Hindi ka nag-cut nung
Hindi, oo.
class.
Sa harap ako nakaupo,
Row
pero
A.
si Ma'am Chai kasi
Ayan.
nagdidibot yan eh. So I can, nakakatulog din ako dun sa harap.
Okay, that's Pat's version. Chai, he never cut?
Hindi yan.
Hindi.
Ano,
Hindi.
diligent yan.
I was always
Diligent
there.
student.
Oo. The body was always there. But yun, so then later on, of course, nagsimula yun dun sa curiosity, pagiging chismoso. But then, you stay because you believe in what you do. So yun, later on, na-develop din naman yun na, we help people make sense of the complexities around us, helping them take a stand on issues, yung ganyan. Kasi baka akalain ng mga iba, kailangan talagang marubdob ka lang talaga na, you think of the nation, kahit 5 years old ka pa lang. Actually, sometimes it starts with curiosity.
Wow, 5 years old.
It starts with yung pagiging chismoso. When you have it in you, maybe, hindi ba? So yun, that's how I began.
At 5 years old.
Yeah,
Tina,
at 5
at
years
6 years old ka?
At 14.
14.
Just kidding.
Oo. How did you get into journalism?
Okay, I'm not a journalist like most
But
of
you were
you.
you were with ABS-CBN for
Yes,
a long
but I
time.
worked with ABS-CBN for almost 25 years. Okay, so I've been with media for almost 3 decades. Yon, ganun ang katagal. And actually, when I graduated from UP, I took up communication arts and I majored in broadcast communication. Prior to graduating, I just knew I wanted to be part of either ABS-CBN or GMA. But before I marched, there was an opening in ABS-CBN. Production of DZMM. DZMM, at that time, was the AM radio of ABS-CBN.
What year was this?
1991.
91,
1991.
Heyday ng ABS-CBN News yan, di ba?
And
The biggest
again,
stories.
they just
Okay.
reopened, di ba?
Right,
Kasi because of the EDSA revolution, years after that,
Oo.
bumalik si ABS-CBN. So, nandun ako. And there was an opening. Although, even before I graduated, nag-open na siya. But for some reason, nagkaroon ng opening sa production. Marami ang opening. And so, pumasok ako. But at that time, I wasn't really sure I wanted to be part of DCMM because I was young. I was more of an FM,
Oh,
person than an
okay.
AM person. But I said, I just want to get in, I just wanted to get in. So when I got in, doon ko nakita how ABS-CBN really lived up to its corporate slogan to be in the service of the Filipino. And at that time, the slogan of DZMM was himpilan ng malayang mamamayan. Okay, because now of the EDSA revolution na balik sa kanila. Okay, but it was also I enjoyed working with journalists. I'm not a journalist, but I had the chance and the privilege to work with journalists, and I supported them in their job. Like with DZMM, I was with production. So, di ba, 24/7 yun eh. And then live news and commentary. So, if on the spot they needed to interview a resource person, we would help them. We would connect them with those resource person. And I remember, nung kagagraduate ko lang at nag-work na ako doon, biglang nagkaroon ng Pinatubo eruption. So, nasabak agad ako sa coverage because paglabas ko, bakit ang dilim-dilim? It was like 3 p.m. and it was
Right.
so dark. Remember that?
June
diba?
12, 1991.
Yes, it was so dark. And
June
then,
16.
Ay, sorry, June 16.
Kasi birthday ko yun eh, kaya hindi ko
okay.
makalimutan.
okay.
Yun eh.
Sumabog
Remember,
dahil
oo.
sa birthday.
And then, biglang ayun na ashfall, di ba? All the ashfall. So, we had to go on duty 24 hours straight. So, ito ko, fresh graduate, tapos biglang nasabak ako, hindi kami pwede umuwi. But it was so nice because, government offices were sending us food. Alam mo yun? Because in a way, we were doing also public service. So, that's the thing with that I realized with journalism. It's not just you empowering the massa or anyone with information to help them make good decisions, di ba? Other than that, you also serve them in such a way. Because I remember people would call us and say, what will we do? Because nawawala yung mga kamag-anak ko doon sa area kung saan nagkaroon ng eruption. So we would connect them to the right government offices and we would interview government officials who could help. So it was really public service. That's the thing that sort of made me realize that, hey, this is a good job because it doesn't just end with me. It makes an impact on the lives of others. So it's public service. Yeah.
Chito naman.
Nung gumraduate ako na 84, com sa UST noon, ayoko magtrabaho sa journalism. Kasi yung lolo ko, journalist na, tapos yung ibang uncles ko, journalist. Ayoko maging mapunta doon sa
Where
mundo
were
na
they?
yun.
Which newspaper?
During the war pa.
Wow, okay.
So,
nasa dugo mo na talaga.
I didn't want to think that way.
Okay.
So, kaso 83 nga yung I was looking for a job, tapos 84, walang opening na sa advertising gusto ko kasi I wanted to be in the creative side. Even when I was in college, I was preparing myself to write sa creative side. Eh, walang opening. Bagsak ang economy nung 83, nung panahon na yun, 84. So, lumapit ako sa teacher ko na editor ng isang newspaper. Ang mga Marcos papers pa yun. Sabi, dito ka lang muna magtrabaho sa akin. So, doon napunta ako. Marcos paper pa noon kasi...
Anong dyaryo?
ano yan? Manila Evening Post. It was an afternoon
Post,
paper.
yeah.
It was an afternoon paper.
Polotans, no?
Correct.
Karima.
So, ang boss ko nun si... was she, no, she's not a national artist, but she's a very good writer. Karima Polotan Tobera.
Tobera.
Yes. And her husband was
Johnny. Diba?
Johnny Tobera, who was the secretary of Marcos. Personal secretary. So, nung nag-EDSA, nandun ako nung they were panicking. And anyway, when eventually na-kick out yung mga Marcos, pati sila nawala din ako ng trabaho. Nag-apply ako sa Inquirer noong 86. Which was, during that time, most newspapers were in the port area. Nandun din yung Times Journal, yung other newspapers. It was like the Fleet Street of Fleet Street. Sa port area yun. Katabi ng Pier 5. Katabi ng Pier 5. Kaya doon yung bagsakan ng mga papel and mga imprenta. So anyway, nandun, nag-apply ako sa Inquirer, nakuha ko. Kasi yung boss ko dati sa Evening Post, siya na sports editor. Nasa sports ako nun eh. Siya yung sports editor ng Inquirer. So, kinuha niya ako. Kami, nilipat lahat kami ng sports writer. So, and I still remember, ko na check ko na alam mo pa address. It's number 13, corner Railroad Street. Yun yung eventually naging Philippine Star. Philippine Star. Kasi, during the start of the Inquirer, was organized by civil society, Ege Apostol, and Betty Go Belmonte. And then, naghiwa-hiwalay lang sila noong July of 86.
Then Betty went on to put up
Yes, she organized it. And I remember that day when she announced that we were in lilipat na ng office yung Inquirer. And that's why I recall this kailan lang, because Betty used the Bible to make decisions. And when she announced the employees na she was leaving, sabi niya, that morning, she opened the Bible, and then, I just don't remember the passage, basta sinabi daw doon, it's time for you to leave the Inquirer. So, umalis na siya na Inquirer. A few days later, the Philippine Star was born. And the Inquirer was in its new office in EDSA. EDSA, yes.
Bago nagpumunta ng Pasong Tama.
Madrid
Yes.
restaurant.
The old Madrid restaurant.
Okay.
It's beside the Polymedic Hospital.
Na ngayon ay
VRP.
Potenciano.
Yes.
Potenciano.
So tuwing merong kudeta, nakikita namin, lalakad, makikita mo yung krame and Paginaldo, so nakikita namin doon. So
What were you covering for Inquirer pala?
at the start, I was for sports. Pero when there were coverages na that were big, nagbo-volunteer ako to...
Ba't ka napunta sa sports?
Okay. So there was sa old job ko, yung first I was a proofreader at the start. Wala nang proofreader ngayon, wala nang trabahong gano'n, na yun na kinain na ng teknolohiya. So tinanong ako nung may opening dito for reporter. Anong gusto mo, maging police reporter o maging sports writer? Takot ako sa dugo. So the choice was easy, sabi ko. And then I love watching games, basketball, paborito. So
When did you give up your hope of advertising?
agad after, kasi I graduated March, naghanap na ako ng trabaho, which is unique for our generation at that time. Na pagka-graduate, nagtatrabaho agad, di ba? And I couldn't find it hanggang 4 months later, sumuko na ako talagang. It's not me. You cannot avoid yung dugo.
Pero may dugo din sa sports eh.
Hindi ka nag-cover ng boxing.
Yes!
May dugo din.
May dugo doon.
Hindi lang dugo, may laway pa.
Pero wait, Chito, when you say, di ba, you're talking about dyaryo, di ba? Kasi ngayon, ang dyaryo nasa nasa mga telepono na natin. Itong dyaryo pinagsasabi natin, yun yung actual na papel,
The actual dyaryo na pinagtrabahuan ko came out at 12 noon. Tanghali, kasi afternoon paper siya. So, iba yung oras namin nun. And yes, it was just a papel ng And it's mas mahirap ang dyaryo in the sense na theoretically, there's no room for mistake because there's no room for correcting it agad. Pag nagkamali ka, pag pinatay mo yung patay ka na. Patay na, wala na. The next day mo nabubuhayin. Kasi naisulat mo na, hindi kagaya ngayon sa website.
Sa online, pwede ka pa
Pero
mag-
mas mahirap din ang in a way, mas madali ang dyaryo before. Kasi ang magtatrabaho ka
Mahaba. The whole
from
day.
7, 8 in the morning up to 5, 7 in the evening. Tapos pag laid to bed na yung dyaryo, that's it, uwi ka na. The following day na ulit. But then, ngayon, given yung technology, online, 24/7 siya.
Mas mahirap.
Mas mabilis. So,
In a
non-stop
way.
siya eh.
In a way, yes.
So, mas challenging
In a way.
ngayon.
Wait, yung kwento muna ni VJ.
Ayun.
I think it's a mix of everyone's experiences. I was a fine arts student at University of Santo Tomas also, taking up advertising. I wanted to do advertising, anything that has to do with advertising. But a revolution happened. The second EDSA revolution happened. So
The second na.
86 kasi medyo, nakikita ko na yun.
Thank
What
you.
year were you born?
Second pala siya.
So my dad
Okay.
brought me, he gave me a camera and a few rolls of film. Tapos yun yung first experience ko of witnessing actual history. And actually framing it, no, using using the camera. So it took a few rolls. Ilan lang yung lumabas. So out of the 3, I think mga less than 10 frames yung nabuo. But some of those frames tumatak sa akin. And not too long after, 2002, there was an opening in National News Magazine, Philippines Graphic. They needed someone sort of new to follow the presidential campaign. So I did.
What year was this?
2002.
Ah,
So yung
2002.
after the revolution,
Okay.
tapos nag-elections. So GMA, I was assigned to cover GMA.
Jimmy Fernando po yata yun, no?
Yes.
Yes.
So I tracked her until yun nga, proclaim siya. Kami rin yung transition generation from from traditional to digital in photography, in photojournalism. So medyo mahirap yung trading namin, parang nasa traditional way, kailangan i-darkroom ba yan and whatnot. Yung iba naman nagta-transition na to digital. I think the first one was Business World, if I'm not mistaken. Ang unang nag-digitize. Sa graphic, dahil weekly kami, hindi naman kailangan agad-agad. So I took my time and then dun ko rin na-discover yung I think passion ko for documentary photography.
okay, but di ba that's why we call it photojournalism. You don't have to be writing, but you tell stories with your pictures, di ba? With the pictures
We
you
were,
take.
well, at least my editor asked us to write.
Okay.
So from captions to, and then when sometimes kasi when we were on the ground, or at least I was on the ground, ako na rin nagre-report. So kahit bad writing, sabi niya kahit pangit yung sulat,
Yeah.
sulat mo.
Okay.
And then
Were you,
later,
BJ, were you, familiar using darkroom? The darkroom?
a little bit.
You trained
Yeah,
there?
a little. With my dad. Because my dad was a photojournalist also.
Okay.
Pero for a government agency.
Okay. Kasi rin yung darkroom isa sa mga na-extinct
Yeah.
during
But it's
the,
coming back
the
now.
transition.
It's coming back,
Oh,
talaga?
very much.
It's the same
How
as
and
vinyl
why?
records.
Same, yeah. Ang daming enthusiasts with film photography. Pero not for photojournalists. Yung iba hobby, yung iba for arts.
Okay.